Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Hughie Fury has coasted to a decision over Mariusz Wach on the Anthony Joshua and Kubrat Pulev undercard in London, but it wasn't without some drama. Fury getting cut in this fight, not for the first time in his career, but he showed some heart, battled through, and ultimately against a limited but very tough and durable guy in Wach, he was able to get a comfortable decision, winning it 100-90 on two of the judges' scorecards and 99-91 on another. And I had it 99-91. I think there was a case to say that, or certainly on my card, round 5 was a good round for Mariusz Wach, who did actually sort of show a bit more in that round off the back of the cut, which happened in the 4th round. And it was an interesting fight for a couple of reasons. One, I had zero expectations of entertainment for this fight, and my expectations were exceeded. 2, the cut added some drama, but also it was a tale of two fights. It was for the first 5 rounds, Hughie Fury doing an impression of a boxing brawler. The second half of the fight from round 6 onwards, because it was a 10-round fight, him actually utilising some movement, relying on his boxing, but it was more than we've seen before where he was ultra negative. He was picking Mariusz Wach apart. But I have a couple of questions about this, because is he going to perform the same way against someone not named Mariusz Wach, because obviously Wach is limited, hittable, and he was taking a peppering for most of the night. But in terms of that first half of the fight, it was relatively entertaining because Hughie Fury was up on Mariusz Wach's chest. They were both banging away. Mariusz Wach was actually having some success too. He was landing some right hands. There was one very nice uppercut at one point. But I guess one of the things you have to say is that Hughie Fury again has proven he's got a good chin. He took a couple of punches pretty flush, didn't really seem to rattle him at all. But ultimately, after the cut in the 4th round, which was over the left eye, and I believe maybe it was related to that previous cut, the same sort of area, but ultimately it came from an accidental head clash, but he was able to battle through that. They were able to manage the cut, and when he started boxing from range, he was managing it quite well, wasn't getting touched up as much. But in terms of the action and the sort of switch from brawling inside, which I was sort of thinking, this is entertaining and I like this version of Hughie Fury, but I wasn't convinced, is this the guy we're going to see going forward? Because ultimately, he doesn't seem to have enough power to really hurt anyone. Not from what I've seen, not the elite level guys. Sure, some of the guys that he's knocked out earlier in his career, you can sort of reference Sam Sexton. That's one thing, but at the world level, he's never really hurt his men, Joseph Parker, Alexander Povetkin, for example, to the point where you sort of thought they were ever in any trouble. Did wobble Kubrat Pulev, but he battled through that and went on to win that fight. So the brawling style, that was something a bit different, a bit new, and I did think that his right hand when he was throwing it, and this is throughout the fight, it wasn't as sort of ungainly as it has been in some other fights. Did look like he was throwing it a bit straighter. It wasn't as slinging, although I did think maybe there was times where he could have afforded to throw just a really straight right hand. But I think Hughie Fury and his punching technique, what he's doing, especially with that right hand, it is on the improve, but it's probably, coming to be whatever it is going to be. That second half of the fight, he looked good. He was fluid. He was throwing his shots. Obviously, he was almost sort of toying with Mariusz Wach at times, sort of pecking him apart, landing a lot of good shots. He even still went southpaw. He was landing a really nice straight left hand, even against the advice of his corner, which said after the cut, look, just stay orthodox. Let's protect the eye. So his way to protect the eye was just to sort of battle away at distance. And ultimately, Mariusz Wach just wasn't able to do enough to win rounds. He was having some limited success through the fight, even up close when it was brawling or from distance. He was landing the odd shot, but just not enough. Hughie Fury was just too active, but he was a bit guilty of going headhunting. The body was open there for Mariusz Wach and quite a bit of it, but there was a lot to like about the performance. More entertaining and aggressive than I was expecting, although I did expect a more aggressive version against this version of Mariusz Wach because it's a pretty faded version of Mariusz Wach. And I was somewhat insulted that ahead of the fight, the commentary and the DAZN commentary, I had that feed, was dreadful for the entire card. And they even said, and I thought this was a rather sort of wild sort of statement, from Brian Kenny, that Mariusz Wach is the largest world-class heavyweight in the world. Mariusz Wach at this point is pretty faded. You know what you're getting. He's going to go rounds, but ultimately, if you've got some skills and some talent, you're going to beat him. Doesn't matter how you're going to beat him, if it's up close a la Dillian Whyte sort of banging away with him, and to Hughie Fury to some extent, or at distance. You're going to have success. He will be game, but he will lose the fight, and that's what happened here. Mariusz Wach didn't have enough. There was a lot to like about the performance. He was more aggressive. He was more entertaining. He showed a good chin. The right hand looked better. Demonstrated heart again, battling through that cut, because that can't have been easy. He showed a really good straight left hand from the southpaw stance, but he was guilty of headhunting, and maybe his lack of power was on display to some extent as well. The commentary afterwards was, Chris Mannix was saying that perhaps the next opponent for him could be Marco Huck, who's in line to fight for the European title. But if they are saying that Huck and Fury is going to be next, well, that would seem to suggest either Huck is going to beat Joe Joyce, who he's been ordered to face, or Joe Joyce is going to drop that belt. So, I mean, I don't know if there is anything in that. I think he beats Marco Huck at this point. Other names, potentially Martin Piccoli. They have sparred a lot together, so maybe they would sort of cancel each other out. But that would be, I think, a pretty even fight, and a good fight for both guys at this point in their careers. Derek Chisora is another guy. He would be a good litmus test, but Chisora is after paydays, clear and simple. I can't see Chisora facing any of these guys unless they bring money to the table. Overall, interesting fight by Hughie Fury. He showed us a couple of different things, but it is Mariusz Wach, and the question has to be asked, how is he going to fight against better and more talented opposition, guys who are legit contenders, because Mariusz Wach is not at this point. Despite Brian Kenny saying he's a world-class heavyweight, he is not at this point. He might be a world-class, journeyman in terms of that sense, a gatekeeper, that if you can beat him, you're certainly on to bigger and better fights. But Hughie Fury, what did you make of it all? Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.